Hello everyone. I am going to review in-text citation examples. So as we talked about last class, it will be important when you are going to write a paper that requires in-text citations or references that you use a scrapbook piece of paper. This way it'll make your work a lot easier. So on that extra piece of paper that you do not have to hand in but are just for your notes, you will put the source, such as your website, the author's name, and the date that it was published, important ideas that you've taken out of the material that you have read, and what you thought the material had regarding best practices. So I'm just going to show an example here. So of course, I'm just going to do it below here. This would technically be on my my paper that I was going to pass in, but just for sake of demonstration, I'm going to do it right below my information. So after reviewing this text, I may write something like one of the Okay, so I've chosen to write one of the important things about children's play. It allows them to explore a world that they can control. Now, these ideas are not my own, so I have to cite them. So I start with a bracket. I use the author's last name, so Ginsberg. Then I use a comma, the year that it was published, a bracket, then a period. So the period ends the sentence after the bracket. Now, each time that I use a citation, it's only good for the sentence that comes before it, okay? So if I were to continue on with my paper, I may write something like this. Okay, again, I would, this sentence is coming from the information that I've taken from Ginsberg's article, so I have to offer a citation here. So again, I would use a bracket, put Ginsberg's last name there, and a comma, the year that it was published, which was 2000, which was 2007, bracket, and a period. Okay? So if I wanted to continue on and I wanted to put my own thoughts in here, that may look something like in our room, Sam and are playing monster. So, this thought is my own. In our room, Sally and Sam are playing monster. During this time, they are exploring their fears of monsters. I don't need to put an end citation because that's something that I've experienced myself. Okay, and if I was going to continue on to add something to my document, I might say something in addition. It allows children to practice decision making, negotiation. Again, these are not my words, so, or well, they're my words, but not my ideas. So I have to, it was taken out of this article by Ginsberg, so I have to end with a citation. So the author's last name, comma, the year, bracket again, and then a period. Okay? So an important thing to remember is that you cannot use a citation at the end of a paragraph to cover everything that you've written from the article. You must do it at the end of each sentence of the idea that you take from your article. So let's look at a situation that you may have if you have an article that does not have an author. So when I looked at this article, it does not have an author. So if it doesn't have an author, what we're going to use is we're going to use the article or the website's name and the date that the website was published. So that may look something like this. Okay, so this was the ideas that I've taken from the website called Raising Children. So this is how I cite it when it does not have an author. So it's the brackets again, the name of the website, comma, and the year that it was published, and that was 2019. Bracket, period. Okay? Now, what do I do if we have a website that does not have an author or a date that it was published? So if that happens, you should make sure it comes from a reputable source. So I know this is a good source because it comes from the government of Australia. So how we would go about doing this one, it may look something like this. So you always want to make sure that you go back, of course, to correct your grammar and your spelling. These ideas were taken from the website Starting Blocks. So this is how I would cite a sentence that does not have an author and does not have a date. So again, we're going to use the same format with a bracket. The name of the website is Starting Block. I'm using comma, so there is no date. So I'm simply putting N period, D period, comma, period. Okay, so there are 3 periods here, and that's the way that it should look. Okay. If you really wanted to quote somebody, which we would prefer that you only use one quote in the writing, this is how you would go about adding a quote to your writing piece. So it could be something like, and I'm going to use the one here from Foible, okay? So, okay, so I'm going to use okay. So because this is Foible's thoughts, I have to use quotation marks to begin what he has said and to end what he has said. And this is how I go about quoting it. I bracket. I can use his full name. And then I am using a comma, quoted in Starting Blocks, because this is where I had seen that he could made this quote. It was in the website Starting Blocks, which we know has no date. So it is N period D period bracket period. Okay? Okay, so that is how we do citations. Thanks.